the file aplusb.m that we created is going to will have this structure right here. For every Matlab file that we create, we need to have this first line where the keyword is function. Following that, in square brackets, we'll have the output arguments, one or more of them, depending on the problem we are working on. An equal sign. Following that, we're going to have the function name. Make sure that the function name is the same as the file name without the .m. Okay? So the file name has .m, but the function name should not have .m at the end of it. Following that, we're going to have parentheses and list any of the input, list all the input arguments within the parentheses. Okay. All right. So let's apply this structure to the A+B problem. For the A+B problem, I will have as my first line in the file, I will have function, and then a space. How many outputs will that function return to me? How many things does it return? Just one thing, which will be the summation. Okay? I will have to give it a name. I like giving the name out for the output variable. You guys can use another name. I will describe naming of the variables later. Close the square bracket, have an equal sign. The spaces in between are optional. You can leave a space before the assignment or not, that's up to you. Okay? After the equal sign, we have to provide the name of the function, which is A+B. All right, without the .m. And then inside the parentheses, we have to list the arguments that we are going to pass into this function. Again, we have to name them. You can use any name you'd like. All right. How many arguments are passed into this function? 2. And let's call them A and B. A, comma, B inside the parentheses. This will make up the first line of your A+B.m file. Okay, so after you say edit A+B.m, the editor opens up. This is going to be the first line you're going to type. All right. After the first line, you need to add comments. Comments in Matlab are lines that start with the % sign. After the % sign, you can write a comment. The comments are ignored by the execution. So the comments will not affect how your code runs or what output is returned. Okay? It's just for people to open your file and read it. Okay? Sometimes you may want to read your own comments. So have at least one sentence describing what this function does. For A+B, this would be takes 2 inputs, takes 2 numbers, and returns their summation. Try to use your own words. The description is given on the problem page, but summarize it in your own words. Takes 2 numbers and returns. If you don't want to keep going to the right, you can add another comment as a new line. Returns their summation. Okay. After the description, write your name and the date that you started working on this problem. So I'll say by me. And then date is 2019 in this format that I like using, 09/26th. Is it 26th? 25th. All right. So those are going to be the first 4 lines for this problem. Again, these should be your own words, and this should be your name. The date will be 2019/09/25. All right. Okay, so this will be the top of our function. Once we are done with the comments, the body of the function will contain the code to solve this problem. All right. I'm gonna skip the other details shown on that slide and get back to this page and rework on this. Okay. So the first line is going to contain function, the output variables equals the function name. I should enclose this in square brackets. The function name a plus b, and then any input arguments a comma b. What this function does, takes two numbers and returns their sum by me on 2019-09-25. Okay. And then what this function, how this function will accomplish this. This is going to be your Matlab learning, right? So the Matlab that you learn will help you write this part. I will explain this later, but for this problem, all we need to do is calculate a plus b using Matlab's plus sign operator and store the result in a variable called out. Okay. So we're going to calculate this, a plus b. We're going to store it in out. After this is stored, there's nothing else in this file. After this function completes, it will return the contents of the out variable back to the command window. Okay. So let me type this. Let me change this variable name. T equals a plus b 5, 7. The command window is where you test your code. The file that you write is here. The command window is a place that you're going to provide different inputs and receive an output from that. All right. So we're going to pass 5 and 7 as the two inputs, A and B. Matlab will go into this file. It will go into this function, do the things listed here, which is add A and B, 5 plus 7, which will be 12. Store the result in the out variable. Out will contain the number 12. Okay. The number 12 will then be returned back to the command window. And in the command window, we are taking the result returned from this function and storing it in the variable t. I'm going to hit enter, and all those steps will be completed, and t will now contain the value 12, which is returned from the function that we wrote. Make sense? All right. Let me try to remember the common problems that you guys had. So one problem is misspelling your function name. Okay, so you're going to get an error that says undefined function or variable. Just like with the paths that we traversed, I recommend that you use the tab key to auto-complete your function names. So I'm going to say APL, hit the tab key to have MATLAB complete the rest for me. So I'm less likely to make mistakes if I let MATLAB auto-complete with the correct option. If there are more than one option, MATLAB will give me a list that I can select from. The one that I'm looking for is A plus B, so select that. Okay. 5, 7. Another problem that that will give you the same mistake, the same error message, is if you are in a different folder and your A plus B function is in a different folder. Okay. Then MATLAB won't know where your A plus B function is, and it will give you this error. Make sure that aplusb.m is listed as a file in your current folder, and that you save the file after you make changes. How do you know if the file is saved or not? When you make a change, the file will have a star at the end of it. That means the file is not saved yet. When you go into the command window and test the file, test that function, MATLAB typically automatically saves it for you, but sometimes that functionality doesn't work. So make sure that you save the file using Control-Z or clicking on the save icon, save the file, and then go into testing. Okay. All right. Let me get rid of that semicolon. So I had placed a semicolon at the end of a plus b, but let me get rid of it and show you what happens then. I'm going to call the same function a plus b 57, hit enter. Now I get two outputs. So the display doesn't really match the sample. Let me copy and paste the sample here. Okay. So on the sample page for this problem, I should only be seeing a equals 5. I do see a equals 5, but I also see out equals 5. All right. This should not appear. Your output should only contain the result from your function. Matlab has a feature where the result of any operation can be displayed in the command window if you don't put a semicolon at the end of it. Okay. So the semicolon that I had at the end of a plus b suppresses that display. It will still calculate out. It will just not show the result. So a plus b and then a semicolon. This will suppress that output. I'm going to save the file, go back to command window and test it. And now all I see is a equals 5. Okay.